Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page, where I do this almost daily live stream here at Star Nations. Actually, the live stream runs from Sunday to Thursday. I used to do every day, but recently changed that. So I'm still trying to find a good way to phrase it. So welcome. And today is Wednesday, May 29th. Yeah, we're so close to the end of the month, aren't we? And I'm broadcasting from Star Nations Academy, the physical academy here in Tomah, Wisconsin. And we have a beautiful day. It's cloudy, but it's nice. It's like 70 degrees, and it's really nice. And I'm broadcasting from Star Nations Academy. We're going to be holding a class here for Polly Jo LeBay, Awakening Your True Potential, and that's the weekend of June 14th. And so Paul and I and George, we are getting things prepared for that weekend. There's some painting that has to be done and little tweaks here and there, and I have drum making supplies that has to be put away and that kind of stuff. So, and it also is my studio for live stream shows. Most often I'm up here. I also have a studio down at my home, which is east of here by a country block. Yeah, something like that. It's not quite a full block, I don't think. It's close. It's just right past the wooded section. So anyway, today is all about the card draw, which I really enjoy doing. This is the book that we've been using all month, the Lakota Sweat Lodge cards by Chief Archie Fire Lame Deer, and co-authored with Helen Sarkis, and it's copyrighted 1993. Unfortunately, it is out of print, and if you enjoy the Lakota Sweat Lodge cards, you can get them used. There are some really good decks out there yet, and so if you're enjoying that, I do know that you can get it from Amazon, and I'm sure that there's other outlets as well for used books, right? And if anybody in a live stream audience, if you have a great place that you like to purchase your used books from, please share the link. That would really be helpful. Okay, so before we get rolling with the cards, I am going to like and share our live stream, and I invite you to do the same. We do this every day, and so for those of you who watch this live stream and other Star Nations live streams, you know why. It's so that others can find us more easily. And whoops, what did I do? Oh, there I am. When we're in the news feed a little bit more often. So I'm going to send it over to my personal news feed, just so that my friends know that I'm live streaming. And even if you share it with just one person, that is really, really good. Sharing it with somebody that would be interested in the information or even the conversation. And we're just letting them know that I'm live streaming right now, and to please join us. There we go. George is here with me. You might hear him in the background. Usually he sleeps underneath the table, holds energy for us. But right now he's kind of checking out the drum making supplies that are still kind of out yet from the past weekend, or 2 weekends ago, I should say. There we go. And thank you, Stephanie, for sharing out the live stream to our different pages and groups. Appreciate it. And I see that Stephanie has been working hard already. She's got all kinds of information for you regarding live stream shows and classes, magazine. Yeah, good stuff, Stephanie. Good work. And I just want to check to make sure that I didn't miss anybody in the live stream, in the live chat. Julie's here. Hello, Julie Shumway Hill. Good to have you here, lady. And Sabrina's here too. Hello, Sabrina. Good to see you again in the chat. Rob is here. Hello, Rob. He says there's a place that will print out a print decks ad hoc. I don't have the time to track down the URL at the moment. Okay. Well, it's good to know that there's places out there that will print on demand, right? That's good. I'm sure that one of us can do a little research and come up with a link. It might not be right during the show, but maybe sometime before the end of the day. Now, today's live stream is going to end just a little bit early, okay, about 10 minutes early. We have a possible caregiver that Mom and I are interviewing this afternoon, and she's going to arrive around 3 o'clock. And so I want to be down back at the house by 3, just in case she shows up early, right? Yeah, we're working on getting some more help with Mom's care. She's not difficult to take care of at all. She still is able to walk, and just recently decided that she doesn't want to keep up with her checkbook anymore, and so I get to do that for her now. Holy smokes! I gotta balance a checkbook. Paul usually does all of ours. It's not that I can't do it. It's just making the time to do it. Yeah, and I have a Georgie hair on me somewhere. I can feel it. Tickles. And so we'll be ending just a little bit early, okay? Just so you know that when I end about 10 minutes early, it's like, what happened? It's because we're interviewing a caregiver. Yeah, I hope she works out, because it'd be nice. It'd be nice to be able to take a little time off and have somebody who is, and these are the qualities that I sent out there to the universe, right, through my spiritual team. Someone who enjoys working with the elderly, someone who is kind and trustworthy, compassionate, right? A responsible caregiver, but somebody who is also fun and enjoys listening to the stories, right? Yeah, and somebody who doesn't mind cooking and cleaning up the kitchen, that kind of stuff. More practical things, right? And so, Mom is looking forward to meeting this young lady, and she happens to be a young lady who is a third-year nursing. I think she's still in school. We'll get more information about that this afternoon. But anyway, that's what we're up to in the midst of working on the magazine besides. Georgie's such a good boy. He came in to lay underneath the table. All right, so here is the first card that came today, and I have to admit, it made me smile, okay? It's Maka, meaning earth. Maka, earth. And it really does, the picture really does look like South Dakota. Maka, earth. You know what I find interesting is the Lakota word Maka, meaning earth. In Ho-Chunk, Maka means medicine. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And, it looks, I don't know if you've ever been out to South or North Dakota in the summertime, like August and September. It's not very green, but that is the Great Plains. And so it is rather flat, but you do have some mountains in the background. And I'm not sure if this is supposed to depict the Black Hills, the starting of the Black Hills, or not. But I think it's a pretty good rendition of the Lakota country. Yeah, Maka, earth. It's kind of what made me smile about it is because last night we did the Unity Breath Meditation for my show on Tuesday nights, right? And for Communications from Home. And today, Spirit gives us the card, Earth. In the Unity Breath meditation, we spend some time bringing to us images of Grandmother Earth that we just love. Nature scenes, animals, maybe children. And so we spend a lot of time with both Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Sky in those images, right? And this morning, my team gives us the Earth card. I don't think that that's a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. You know? Here, Rob's got something to say. Let's see. He says, Julie Hedges got a deck from them if she can remember the place. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Thank you, Rob. I'm sure we can find it. We have a lot of resourceful people around here, don't we? And I'm sure somebody will, yeah. Let's see. Got a message from, okay. Very cool. I thought Stephanie was trying to tell me something through Messenger. She's just sharing the show within Messenger, probably to her friends list, right? All right. So here is the channeled message about this card, about the essence, the spirit of this card. It says, I am of the forest sustainers, gifts of your mother to you that may have life upon her body. I give you clear teaching of the way of love. Look to me, the earth, the soil. Consider what I am made. Consider how it is that I renew myself, how it is that I can bring forth new life. I live in a continual cycle of giving and receiving. My way of being always is the circle of love. The circle of love. I had to stop and when I read that this morning and had to kind of consider that, is that many times I believe that when we stop to turn our attention to Grandmother Earth, most times it is about, of course, appreciating her and everything that she does for us, but many times it's all about protecting her, right? Taking care of her. Yeah. And as a caregiver to an elderly mom, it kind of brings us into a little bit of a different focus a bit. Because in many tribal traditions here on Turtle Island, the earth is referred to as Grandmother Earth. And sometimes, many times, more non-native people call Mother Earth, right? Mother Earth. And I have to say that a long time ago, I want to say, like maybe 7-8 years ago, my mom and I were having this discussion and about what the earth is called. And she was just really kind of perplexed. She goes, I don't understand. Why do people call the people that why do they call Grandmother Earth Mother Earth? And so I tried to explain it to her that that the earth gives us everything. It births things, it animals and vegetation and all of that. And she says, yeah, but our bodies come from the earth. And she goes, and the original people, the first two-leggeds, that female is our mother. The earth is our grandmother. So I understand her logic with it and her belief system behind it. She wasn't very open to having Grandmother Earth called Mother Earth. And I was trying to explain Gaia to her. But Mom's going to be 100 years old next month, and so she has a very distinct belief about this, and so she says that we don't take care of her. We don't take care of her. We don't respect her. And she said that's the big picture of it. She said the smaller picture of it is that many times we don't respect our own birth mother, right? Or and because she's adopted, I have two adopted brothers. She goes, or adopted mothers. She says we take a lot. We take a lot, and expected to love unconditionally, right? So we had a long discussion about that. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go back to the chat here. Hi, Brian. Brian's on birth is Mother Gaia. Yeah, well, it depends on your belief system, right? Yeah, it depends on your belief system. And it's nothing is right or wrong. It's just what you believe, right? Right. Rob says, I was contemplating that very thing on a hike a couple weeks ago. I had a very interesting spiritual experience that answered the question of which is proper. Yeah, and my personal belief is because I understand both of them, actually all three of them, but I feel most comfortable in calling her grandmother. You know why? Because for me, a grandmother is somebody who, and I know it's a stereotype, but a grandmother is somebody who takes care of you, somebody who loves you, and somebody who will even stand up for you, you know. But she expects a great deal from you as well. She expects you to have manners, and she expects you to be respectful. And so she has expectations of you, but she also loves you, even though you might not be a stand-up citizen. Oh my gosh, that she still loves you, right? And so, but I understand the logic that my mom has about that. Benison, you're Native American? Why, yes, sir, I am. I'm an enrolled tribal member of the Potawatomi Nation. Yes, I am. Let's see. Okay, so yes, I'm enrolled with the Potawatomi Nation. That's on my mom's side of the family. My grandfather, her father, was the Potawatomi, and my grandmother on her side of the family, my matriarch grandmother, she was a full-blooded Ho-Chunk. And then on my dad's side of the family, he was Yaqui. And so I also have a little bit of French Canadian in there as well. So yes, I am. I'm Native American. All right. Stephanie says this website can print tarot and oracle cards on demand. You have to upload the card images. Thegamecrafter.com. There you go. Excellent. Thank you, Stephanie. Rob is saying linguistically, neither is 100% correct, but there are theological differences in terms of mystery teachings. Yes, there is. There is. And I think that, when we look at our belief systems and when we examine them, right? Much like we're talking about today, I think that we have to look at it from the four different bodies. Our mental mind, yes. Our spiritual, yes. Even our emotional. That's what I was trying to get at about what the stereotype of a grandmother is, right? Nurturing. But then there's also the physical, right? And when you take a look at Maka, whoops, gotta hide rubs. When you look at the card Maka, Earth, and the one sentence in the channeled writing that made me stop and ponder was my way of being, I live in a continual cycle of giving and receiving, a continual cycle of giving and receiving. So it's a never-ending cycle. And most of us, I would venture a good guess, take very little time to actually consider that, right? And what grandmother gives and what she receives. And since we are, our physical bodies replicate her, and our mental mind, our brain, I should say, our brain is in sync with her, right? So it would stand to reason that we too would live in the cycles of continuous giving and receiving. And if we sit back and we think about it, it really does, right? Even though we may have challenges around that, that it may not always be a balance of giving and receiving, but we too have that cycle. And if anything, I have to say that was my as I'm drinking my celery juice this morning, contemplating that. It was one of those light bulb moments. Yeah. Hey, Brian says super dope. I'm going to mispronounce this one. Kauhia. Is that correct? Give me the phonetics on that, Brian. So make sure I pronounce your tribal nation correctly. Your people. Kauhia. Yeah. Theology is psychological. Yeah. I agree. It was way back when, right? Way back when philosophy, theology was all a part of psychology, right? Way back when. Well, when psychology was considered a science. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Bonnie's here. Hello, Bonnie, one of my good friends from the Madison area. Good to have you here, Bonnie. All right. So now remember, these cards come from a perspective. The information comes from a perspective of the Lakota Nation, one of the Osheti Sakoi, all right, the Great Sioux Nation. All right, so here is the tradition of Maka, okay? In the Lakota tradition, Earth is one of the four elemental spirits. The center of the lodge, meaning the Inipi, the sweat lodge, represents the womb of Mother Earth, who gives life to all living things. We enter the lodge to be reborn. We give thanks to Mother Earth for giving us the food on which we live. Now, even with that, I think that we have to consider the word food, right? Yes, it's food to nourish our physical body. Most certainly that is true. But I think that Grandmother Earth also gives us nourishment in our emotional, our spiritual, and our mental bodies as well. Yeah, I do. But most times we only can really consider the physical, don't we? Yeah. And that's part of her giving, right? She gives of her body to us. And why not? Because we are part of her body. Now, consider this, okay? Consider this. You know how a fetus, a child in the womb, is nurtured by the mother through the umbilical cord, correct? Right. So, what if our physical body be nurtured by Grandmother Earth, and how we're always talking about grounding to her, right? Being grounded to her, that we still have this connection like an umbilical cord to her, and she's constantly nourishing us, preparing us for that birth, right? And that birth is when we've completed what we came here to do, and it's our time to return back into spirit, and that's the birth. Consider that one. Yeah, that was me drinking my celery juice this morning. contemplating all of this and thinking, wow, okay. So you could say that we're in the womb of Grandmother Earth yet, which is why maybe some people would call that Mother Earth, right? Yeah. There's all of these kind of ponderings this morning. Pondering. Hi, Gina. Have I missed much? A little bit, but not much. This is the first card that we're still sharing about. Maka, meaning earth, right? And I just read the channeled writing in the tradition of the card. The card meaning is think about how to accept nurturing from others and even from yourself. Nourishment and caring begin within. Attend to your body's needs along with your emotional and spiritual hungers. Allow yourself to accept all that you require. Listen to the needs of others and provide nurturing to them. Nurturing is a two-way process that helps us to develop, grow, and sustain life. Use positive, encouraging language when describing how you are and the activities in your life. Appreciate yourself. You deserve it. And the meditation is the cycles of time brings me into awareness of the interdependence of all life. Right? That's where we get all our relatives, all our relation. Yeah. And so, Spirit's asking us to consider how do we nurture ourselves and others? How do we give and how do we receive? How open are we to receiving? Yeah. So energy workers, light workers, we tend to give a lot, right? And many times our giving and receiving is kind of out of balance. And what does that lead to? It usually leads to depletion, fatigue, right? Our physical body tends to respond in ways of having symptoms. Yeah. And so, we're being asked to consider in our own honesty with ourselves, is our nurturing in balance? Because if we are in a continual cycle of giving and receiving, then how are we in the flow of that? Right? It gives you a moment to kind of stop and consider, what is that for me? What is that for me? And I have a question for those in the chat. And that's, do you believe that you have a balance of giving and receiving? Yeah. Yeah, because, as light workers, energy workers, sometimes I think we tend to, what's a good word for it? We tend to be very, very optimistic and positive, right? And many times we negate anything less than that. But to have balance, we have to look at the full picture. We have to look at both sides. In this deck of cards, there's a card that's called the Woman with Two Faces, right? And really it's about duality. And because Earth is a school, a master's school, a doctorate school, for us to learn how to balance out the duality so that we come to the one, right? The single source. And so we have to be able to look at both sides, to listen to both sides of the story. And so would you say that you have a balance of giving and receiving? Yeah. All right. Brian saying we're related to the Palladians. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are. But we come from all over stars, star systems, many, many star beings here, right? You have the Palladians, you have the Syrians, you have, oh, Rob, help me out. um, I can't think if there's others. I know that there are others. I just can't think of their names. Yeah. And Rob is saying it has become very imbalanced. Yes, I believe it. I do. And and I don't think that we really don't need somebody else pointing that out to us, do we? Because in our heart of hearts, underneath it all, if we're honest with ourselves, we identify that already. I'm just asking you to turn your attention to it, to notice it. And what can you do? What can you do to balance it out? Brian says, I give too much. Yeah, a lot of us do. I'm right in the middle of that right now, Brian. Rob says, we get the notion that we must crucify ourselves to save others, and the world is more than happy to oblige. That can be the case. That can be the case. And I think that, a lot of that has to do with your belief system too, right? Yeah. Because some of the words in there, wouldn't you say, Rob, are rather Christian. The crucifying, right? And I think that it really, that sometimes it is about us taking a deeper look into our own belief systems and where and it's okay. It's okay to have certain belief systems. It really is. It depends on how well you're received with it, right? Yeah. Yeah, because sorry, I was just saying, what was the question? The question was, do you believe that you have a balance of giving and receiving? Yep, theology is psychological. Yes, it is. And as Julia is saying, I think I give more than I receive most of the time. Yeah. Yep. And I think, just as being energy workers or light workers, we have a tendency to do that. I did that today with full knowledge of it. I was completely aware of it. I had a telephone call from a client of mine, and she asked me, so how much do I owe you for this call? And, and what did I say? Nothing. You don't owe me anything. It's my pleasure to be able to help as best I can. And so she says to me, she says, well, I know I'm going to be calling you like within a week or so. So we'll just put those two things together and I'll send you a check, and so there she is balancing that out. Right. Yeah. I was fully aware of it. And when I hung up the phone, when I turned off the phone, it was like, oh my gosh, there I go again. There I go again. Yeah. And even with my mom, as in a Native belief, we believe, or I should say many of us believe, not all Natives believe this, but is that we take care of our elders, right? I have to say that's probably the ideal. I've learned a lot in this process. Yeah, and end up giving more than I receive. Yeah, so Brian, I'm right in the middle of that, right? And so Brian says it doesn't matter really. I'm not sure which doesn't matter. Rob says you asked me to help out when you were talking to Brian. Oh, that was there's other star beings, other stars that we've come from, us two-leggeds here on Earth. Brian had mentioned the Palladians. I said Syrians, Arcturians, and see, I remembered at least one of them, the different stars that we're from. Hey, Maggie. Hello, Maggie. Good to have you here. Brian said, I'm a third eye and you have a beautiful seven. Oh, thank you. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you. Okay, so Earth, Maka. I believe that the card for today is all about how is to really turn your attention of your focus and asking yourself that question, right? Do I have a balance of giving and receiving? Because we are part of Grandmother Earth, and she is in this continual cycle of giving and receiving. So that means that we too are in a continual cycle of giving and receiving. And if it's out of balance, then at least to acknowledge that, right? Is to say, okay, I see it. And the next step would be to what can I do to balance that? What can I do to balance that? How can I be consciously aware of that balance, right? Yeah. It's all about our soul growth, really. And learning how to, and remembering how to have that balance of giving and receiving. Okay. So I'm looking at the time. We want to move on to the second card. And the second card is Niyan. And that is, got to move over a little bit. That is Spirit of Man. And it represents the higher self. The higher self. Nia. Spirit of Man. And the channeled message with this card is, I speak to you from inside yourself. I am yourself. I am that in you that knows that I am of the Creator. I am that in you that knows I am eternal. I am that in you that sees the Creator in all things. I am that in you that speaks of truth. I am your own self. I am the navigator through experience. I am you. I am your brother and your mother, and each two-legged who walks this earth. And why is that? Is because we all come from the same place. We come from the Creator. Yeah. And our physical bodies come from Grandmother Earth. Our higher self. And so the tradition is that Wakantanka created Nia, the human spirit, so that people would understand their life and death. The Creator said, I will give you a spirit and you will know that life is nothing but cycles. The universal cycle, a cycle without end, a circle without end. The spirit is eternal and never stops traveling the circle of life. The body I give you does not belong to you. It belongs to me, who created all things. The body I give you belongs to the Earth Mother, and it shall return to her. When your life ends, your body will return to the earth, and your spirit will go on to the spirit world. So our spirit is that which connects us to the eternal, to the source, to all things. Acknowledge your essential identity, your higher self. You have resources within to handle all situations, to make all decisions, to answer all questions. It's easy for us to lose sight of this. Often we look outward for answers and direction and accept influences that may not be suited for us. Yeah? Yeah. It says, remember to seek guidance within and to do so, patience and trust. Your inborn support and guidance are there at all times. Your answers will come through symbols and messages, best suited to your own perceptions, through dreams, a chance meeting, a quotation in a book. Some answers come immediately, some overnight. Others may be received in some time in the future. Only when you reach the level of wisdom or experience to truly understand the full range of the matter in question. Whatever the time frame or method, it is your role to trust. Without preconceptions, the guidance will be provided. The meditation is I acknowledge the truth that lives in my being. Through experience, I learn to trust my inner knowing and honor the whole of my being. And to honor the whole of my being, right? So literally, our physical bodies come from Maka, right? Our spirit, our higher self, comes from the Creator, from Wankantanka, Getchimanado, the great mystery. And when you put these two together for the message for today, right? We are her children. We are a child from Grandmother Earth. We are a child of the Creator. We are a divine child. And so in that appreciation for all that is given to us in that nurturing, we have to find that balance for ourselves between the giving and receiving, because we are in that cycle. We're already in that circle. And to strike that balance for ourselves. Grandmother Earth is self-sustaining, right? She nourishes herself. She heals herself. And yes, we're here to take care of her, yes. But she's the one who is leading the way. We have to go clean up our rooms. That's what we have to do. All right, I'm going to check the okay. Oh, Rob says, I found some disturbing truths in finding my star. Well, I think that we all kind of go through that, right? When we do that research and we find both the positive and the negative, right? Oh, Brian, you're talking about the chakras. Oh, thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate it. Julie's saying, I think that balance is one of my lessons. Oh, that's a good insight, Julie. That really is. That's a good insight. Balance. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that for myself too. Because I work a lot. And sometimes I don't consider it work. But my husband certainly does. He's like, when are you going to get done? I said, I just have to finish one more thing. Yeah. So, there's balance that we have to strive for, right? And Maggie said, I end up giving more than receiving. Not all imbalance is bad. I think that's why I said we have to strike a balance for ourselves, right? Because if it doesn't deplete you, if it actually is nourishing you and brings out the best in you, then that's your balance, no matter what that is, right? And for another person, it might be an imbalance, but that's your life. It's not theirs. Does that make sense? Yeah. I was just thinking, mine is making sure that I go to bed at a decent time so that the next day I don't feel depleted. That's mine. All as one. Absolutely. I agree. Brian, this is the deck that we're using. It's called the Lakota Sweat Lodge cards. The co-authors, Archie Fire Lame Deer and Helen Sarkis. Archie Fire Lame Deer was a elder that helped Helen create this deck. Sounded like he was the one who poured the lodge. Yeah. Thank you, Julie. There you go. There's the information about that. And Rob is saying we are all sons of grandmother. Okay. we're all sons of grandmother. We're all daughters too. At the same time. Good for you, Brian. Excellent. Yeah, Maggie's agreeing. True. Yeah. It's kind of like when, as a feng shui teacher and practitioner, and I'm asked to come in to help them with their home. One of the things that we always end up talking about is clutter, right? And honestly, the definition of clutter is something that you don't use and you don't love. No one can tell you what your clutter is. And yet you will have people in your life that try to tell you what your clutter is. So in some ways, identifying what your balance is with giving and receiving is much the same, right? My balance might not be balance for someone else. They might see it as an imbalance, but it works for me. And as long as I am my optimal self and I am feeling really good and energized rather than depleted, then that's good for me. It's not necessarily meant to be good for the next person, right? Yeah. Why does Native Americans have the same voices? You mean that kind of up and down? Well, sometimes I find myself, if you're talking about me, sometimes I find myself kind of talking like that. It's not intentional, right? It's not intentional. It's just what we hear when we're kids. All right, I'm looking at the time. I've only got a couple of minutes left. I wanted to say, when you take a look at these two cards, right, when you put them together, is to take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, is allowing the information in all ways to come to you, to help you to understand in all of your bodies the message that Spirit is giving us today. Is understanding our connection to Earth, to Grandmother Earth, to Mother Earth, to Gaia. That we're not separate from her or separate from her other children. That we are part. We are one of her children, one of her many. And that she can teach us about giving and receiving and balance. She can help us to remember what it's like to have balance in giving and receiving. When we stay close to her, she nourishes us in so many ways. And even when we don't remember our connection to her, she still nourishes us. She still loves us. Right? And look to her for those symbols and synchronicities on how you can gain balance in giving and receiving. Or maybe a confirmation in your balance of giving and receiving. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Yeah. To all, Brian says, visit Sedona. Been there a couple of times. I enjoyed it. All right. So And you guys know that anything that resonated with you in our discussion today, in our conversation, whether it's a word here, a phrase there, or maybe the whole thing, is just to embrace it, right? And then watch, be aware, sense, feel, see how the energy is unfolding around you today and where this information can be helpful to you today. Perhaps you're in direct participation, an active participation in that energy flow, or maybe you're a witness. You're a witness. And in either case, we're learning, right? We're learning. And as a witness, we actually get the opportunity, the privilege to share the story, right? Yeah. And if it didn't resonate with you, no worries. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Not going to hurt anybody's feelings by saying, nope, didn't get that one. It's all right. There's always tomorrow's cards, and those might resonate with you. Yep. And so, hopefully, you'll be able to join us this evening for Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. It's all about healing. It's a healing meditation at the front of the show, and the second half is all about the card draw. So if you enjoy having a card drawn for you and a reading done, a mini reading, join us. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at Chakra Sessions fan page. And I believe Stephanie has the link in the comments somewhere in there. And then tomorrow night, Thursday night, is living in two worlds with co-hosts Carl and Orchard Franklin and myself. I get to produce their show. And so, and that show is all about the devas and how we're connected to them and who they are, where they are, and how does our connection work, right? So join us 8 p.m. Eastern Time at the brand new fan page called Living in Two Worlds. All right. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And I'll see you back here tomorrow on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern for the daily live stream and card draw. All right. Okay. And you're welcome. Thank you, everyone, for being with me this afternoon. And we'll see you tomorrow. Baba Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.